So let me know if you are able to see my screen. Considering yesterday we have started our topic with introduction to Python, right? We have discussed about the Python introduction. So there, we have started with the topic. We just had introduction. Introduction. So which mean data types. In that, we have discussed about string, which will be the shortcut str. So string, so which can be stored in the form of double quotation and single quotation. It's like a static values. Static value, right? So it's kind of considering as text even. Static value means nothing but text. And we discussed integer. The shortcut is int. So it is for the numerical. Right? Where we have the values without decimal. So values without decimal point. And third one is we discussed about float. The function, the shortcut function which we are using in the Python is float even. This is also numerical with numerical value with decimal point, right? So there we have 0.1, 2.1, 3.1, etc. So where we have the decimal points. Along with that, so what more we have discussed? Arithmetic, basic arithmetic operations, where you have the symbol, which is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulo. So what it called as the percentage symbol. Can you please check and let me know for this? And for power, I will start. So please check and let me know what it is mean actually. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, flow division. Already I have given the answer also. What it is called. All right, can ping me even. So these are the arithmetic operations what we have discussed, right? Today we will discuss about the another data type, starting with list. List is a data type. Along with that, tuple. So first we start with the list data type. And is there anything that we have discussed yesterday that I missed here? One more topic we have discussed. To store the data, to reference with some references, referencing name. What it called as?
Variable assignment.
Exactly, variable. Right? Variables. So where we can store the data, or we can assign some reference name to values, wherever the data type it is. And the concept of variable, it can only store only one data type, But you have some question. if one data type means, then how I can store the multiple, so kind of string, integer, float, so on, so values. If I want to store the multiple values, so is that possible that I can store these multiple data type values within one variable with what reference name that I can use at everywhere or anywhere, right? So there's the concept called list, of course. So lists are can help us to store the multiple values along with the multiple data types, with multiple data types, right? So there actually will be discuss about the creating list, indexing and slicing list, basic list methods, nesting list, introduction to list comprehensions even also. So these are the topics which we will be cover in the next. So where I'm creating a one variable called my list. So I'm just creating a sample list here where I'm providing the values or storing the values in the list. List is defined with a square bracket. List defined with a square bracket. So we can store the values.
Swaroop, sorry to interrupt. I think your screen is not visible. Only your Word document is visible right now.
Oh, thanks for informing that.
Yeah, yes, Swaroop.
Cool. So let me share my screen in that case. Are you able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. So these are the topics where we can going to discuss about the list concepts, creating list, indexing and slicing list, basic list methods, nesting, and list comprehensions. Also, we're gonna be discuss about. So in that case, so I'm creating a sample list here and storing that in the variable. So I'm creating a variable called my list in that. So I'm storing a list. So list can be defined with square brackets. So it is constructed the values whatever we are passing and we are storing inside the list. So we where square brackets it called as, right? So this is called as list. So we can store the data. And here considering I'm storing the numerical values which are integers, right? So I have taken the list of values and I'm storing that in the variable. Anyway, guys, sorry, just give me a minute. All right. So we have created one variable. In that we have stored the value, right? So in the same way, so we have some idea. Is that possible, right? Is that possible to store all the values, right? Whatever the strings, integer, floats, right? So string, integer, float, and multiple values. So because a variable can store one particular data type. So for that purpose, we are using the list. We are using the list where list can suppose to multiple data types can be stored, multiple data types. Where in this concept, so we have string, we have integer, we have float values also, right? So till we have discussed about three data types, and these three data types we are easily storing in this list. And along with that, some empty also, empty value also with empty string. That means the empty string is also having some memory where it can be a reference to one particular value. So calling as empty value, right? So we will be discuss about these empty values also in the next upcoming topic. So this is how lists are used to be helpful us to store the multiple values, and these are can be unlimited. So multiple it can be stored in the Python list. And where I'm calling this list with different variable name, right? So you can see here I'm storing a list of numerical values with calling the my underscore list. But here I'm assigning this list of multiple data type values to the different variable name. So my list underscore. So by providing underscore also, it is considered as a different name. That's kind of when I'm storing the data in one particular text file, that text file called as my list considering. And if I'm storing the or updating the data, when I'm saving as, I can provide the file name with a different name also by providing some extra symbol, right? Extra symbol also, it will be considered as a new file, not the same one, right? The same way we are considering. So by storing the values in different variable. So now we can print that. So we can see the multiple values, whatever we are calling here. And remember, right? So when you want to call the variable output, or operation, any operation output. So that you don't want to provide any print function. You don't want to provide any print function to save the time. You just want to print out the variables or the operations directly. There you can pass comma also. So this comma will be separate the two outputs, the two operation outputs, where the variables also having the values, right? So it will be written output with comma separated, that it is showing here, right? So along the side, in the list we can store the multiple data types. So here actually that we are calling as, so don't think about the dictionary now. So we have Boolean data type along with the none type also we can be stored. None type, the name itself, where the values are considered as none. That means there is no value for that. So let's consider we have the Excel sheet, right? We have the Excel sheet where name, ID are the two columns we have. Name and ID are the two columns. Considering name is Sneha, Ramesh, Raj, so on, so names we have, right? So the people where we are storing the names in each and every row, right? So in a column. And we have the student IDs, or their if they are customers or if they are students according to them. So we will create them a particular ID to store in our system for the references. In that case, 101, 1002, 1003, right? So these are the IDs we have provided to them, right? In the same time, actually, I suddenly lost a value, and I just want to add them one more column for the reference, that is mobile number. So considering, so they have one mobile number like this, and I miss Mr. Ramesh mobile number as something lost. I actually might be due to some human intervention. So this mobile number got deleted, right? And it have some different mobile number. So kind of considering, right? So this mobile number got deleted. So in the front end, how this data is to be stored, and it is showing us the information is kind of, the cell is empty, but you don't how the value is used to be stored at the backend. It is stored in like none data type. For few of the operations, it is stored as none. So in the front end, so because Excel is a UI, right? So where we can interact with the tool and we can do the multiple performance operations, right? So that's why it is used to make our job and understanding. So it is not provided the data. So empty means empty value here only. But at the back end, when it comes to the Python, so this value is written as something. This is a string value. So I can consider this is also like a string or numerical. But for me, I can store it as string only. Why? Because numericals are calculatable. But this is an ID, right? This is a ID. Of course, mobile number also ID, but it seems to be in the form of numerical. But in terms of the general understanding, it is ID. So that's why it is better to store the value in string, because when you are doing the some operations, that means any arithmetic operations, right, on top of the given data. So by default, so these IDs are whatever the IDs also, these which are in the numerical format, like in the integer or in the float. So considering these are in the integer, so automatically these columns will be applicable to the numerical operations. So something like instead of referencing the number, it will be summed up. Considering, so this is an Excel sheet here. It is showing the summation. But for this, so for the numerical, you can see the average, count, sum. But for the string values, can you see anything here? You can't see the num and average. Sorry, the sum and average, because average and summation will be act on the numerical values. But these are the strings, right? So that's why it can be act on. And along the same side, so we have these two values also. These two values are not averaged and also summed up, because they are considered as, because they have the symbols. So that's why it is considered as an object or string. So that's why it can't be calculatable. But according to Excel, by default, it have considered as a numerical values, which are integers. That's why it is doing the aggregation about the average value or summing the value. But the default is a count. Count is just like how many rows. That means in the column, how many values are there. See, considering here count is also 3, but you have passed only 2 values, right? With the naked eye, we can see only 2 values. But what about the interpreting value? That the third row of mobile number, the cell is empty, right? So this is how it seems to be none data type. So it's saved as none data type at the backend. And few of the operations in few of the libraries, it's stored as empty. So considering, so we will be discuss about the difference between the none and empty also when it comes to the real-time practices. So the data can be stored where we have the empty cells, right? So it can be stored as none, NA, NaN, empty. So these gonna be you will be seen in the next class how the backend values it can be stored for each and every library prospect. All right. See, here considering I have created 3 different lists. 3 different lists. So considering we have names of the customers. So where we have the names called Vinay, Harsha, Sumant, Chaitanya, Vaishnavi, Swaroop, Jafar, Shravya. So some customers names we have. In that, actually, we have there each and every person's bill amount. Might be this is today's data. Might be this is today's data. So we gather some sample information, or might be these are the total number of customers who are visited and their amount, the bill amount. And of course, right? So when you are maintaining some software, that means even in the Excel, even right, even in the Excel also, you would be store this information within with some reference IDs, with some reference IDs. So according to your interest, you have given some reference IDs to them. So then I'm running this, I'm executing this. Then when I'm printing the variables, like names of customers and bill amount, we can see the information. Now I will just try to call any of the value. So that is filtering the values by indexing, by indexing. And consider a case in every programming language. So the data, the range of data, the range of indexing data, it starts from 1, starts from 1 number, then 2, 3, 4, 5. So by referencing to the IDs or the values called, so considering, yeah, I'm taking 5 values only. Considering here we have 5 values. That means this is called index. Index, that means a row number. You can consider it as row number. So let me showcase that here in the Excel. Uh, so Sumant, Chaitanya, Vaishnavi, okay, right. right? So we have these names. So that means we can see, right? So to the each Excel, how the indexing is starting from. So the indexing started from 1, right? So indexing is also known as some serial number. We can consider it as serial number. The indexing started from 1, 2, 3, 4. So which is 1, the starting number. But in Python, the indexing used to be start from 0. So you should have to remember this point. In Python, the value indexing, the value serial number starts from 0, not 1. So please remember this. So it starts from 0 only. So this is as indexing actually, indexing. So where Vinay index number is 0, Harsha is to 1, then 2, 3, 4. They're considering Ramesh, final value actually. So this is actually how we have stored the values, right? How we have stored the values. Then these are also by following the indexing. So considering we have 6 values now and 6 indexing here by from starting from the 0. Now we will be filter the data. So I want to filter the data to check or to understand. So right. So now I'm calling the bill amount. So the first bill amount according to customer wise. So name of customer. So who is the first person and what his or her bill number, bill amount, along with the customer bill ID, bill underscore ID. So the same variable, right? We have, or we can just try to copy, paste it here, right? Now in this Jupyter notebook, I'm trying to execute the value. So in two different different ways where I can use the run button. So actually I will share the information about this, how to use the Jupyter notebook and how, what are the ways of creating documentations and the extra features what we have, right? So completely will be discussed, and also I will be share the documentation related to Jupyter notebook. So don't worry about that. So then, so names of customers, bill amount and bill ID. So that's what we have currently in our hand. So I just want to understand what are their actual values. I just want calling the first indexing. Along the same side, I just want to call the name of first customer, bill amount, bill ID. I can check, right? So here actually I have clicked on the run button, it have executed. Now how I'm using the shortcut, because every time I'm not using the run button, right? For the shortcut, you can use shift plus enter. So you have to click the shift plus enter button. So then it will be execute the code. And sometimes if you are feeling, if you are not remembering the variable name, so considering you have created multiple lists. So with the names with the slight differences. So names of cust. So considering names of cust. So you have written like this, right? Name of customer. So we have the data with the 3 different variables. So just assume that. Now I want to call a variable name. So I can't remember this all the variables which are spreaded in different cells. Actually, consider these 3 cells are, so these 3 variables are so saved in the different variable different locations. So considering this is saved something here. So which is in the previous, right? And also considering this is saved somewhere, which you also not sure about, So it will be difficult to So gone through the complete documentation, the complete notebook. So to check where these actual values ID, that means the variable ID is have given the name. In that case, it will be difficult to look at the variable name every time, right? Then if you remember something, if not the complete name, you can, if you remember something like name, if you type name and click on tab. See, the beauty of Jupyter Notebook is it can recommend you. So it can recommend you like some kind of Google search. So with the name, after condition to the name, there are 3 different variables are created. So by starting with the name, there are 3 different variables are created. Which one you want, or which one you want to pick, right? So that you can select. So considering currently I just want custom names of customers. I have selected and enter the I have clicked the enter button. So now I can check what are the values of the names of customer, or the values which are stored in names of customer list, right? So to check whether the given information or the stored information inside the variable is what kind of data type. So further, we are already using the type function, right? We are using the type function. So it is confirmed as it is a list operation. It's a list data type. It's a list data type. Now, along with the concept, so I just want to check. So where not only the zero value or individual value from one particular variable, I want to call the multiple values. So considering 0 to 7, I don't know the range. I don't know the range of list. In that case, you can check. So the range of list is den of so this is to count values in a list. This is to count the values in a list. So where len function is helpful to count the values in a list. So now I'm not sure about how many values are given in the are stored in the list, right? So for that I have used the len, and now by following that, I just want to call from 0 to 7, from 0 index to the 7th index. I'm just calling the values, right? So according to our understanding, so let's consider how many values should be written from 0 to 7, from the starting of the 0th index. Team, hello,
We will get 8,
just guess.
Yeah.
8 elements.
Okay, and others?
Same.
Please don't
What
be
is it?
hesitate. So here, yeah, please continue.
0 to 7 means it's 8 now.
8. Okay, let us try. And if it is difficult to count each and every value, let's try applying the len function. So this is some kind of easiest way, right? So this is We have missed something. Okay, I missed here. Yeah. So how many values it have written? The count of list is 7.
Showing 7, but 0 also countable, no?
0 is countable. So here the filter operation will be work like from the starting point, starting index to the till value. So considering this is as a till value, so or till index, that means it won't be filter. This value won't be filtered to the previous value, to the previous value of the starting and the last. So the starting index and the last index. So just before the last index, whatever the index value is there, so till that value only, it will be print. So this is also be to be remind, so or to be remember this value. So in Python, we have index ranges starting from 0. And when you're filtering the values, the value will be written till just before the last number. That means we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total how many? 7, right? Total 7 values. It will be written. So 7 is not considered. So this point also we should be remember. So there are no much complications. So by going on, just in the basics only, we have to remember these functionalities, the Python functionalities, how it used to be behave like that. So index is starting from 0, and when you are filtering the value, just before the last value, the last index value, just before the last index value, it will be select. Just before the last index value, it will be select. So that's why when you are counting the values, right, or we are printing the value or filtering the value, it will select the value just before the last index. That's what I am calling as from starting index to before till value. So till value or till index or the last index, you can consider as just before the last index, what we have selected here. So that's what it is about. And this is not only the way we have to filter the value, right? So I just want to call what is the last value, right? Right. So what is the last value? In the bill amount, we have seen the out of 8 values, we have seen the 7 values. We have seen 7 values by filtering from starting value to the last value, right? Now we will be print bill amount with the, to find the last value. Then last one value means like this, we have to add last means which is minus. That means the reverse. So count the value or filter the value from the last, right? So when you are not giving this minus, the value will be starts from the first index. So when you are giving this minus symbol or this hyphen symbol, whatever, it will be starts to filter the value from last. Now we are calling the value which is in the last of the list, last index of the list. So now you can consider, so this is the bill amount, the total list, right? In that we have seen the last value, the last index value is 343, which is confirmed here also. We are just calling the last value, it is confirmed 343, right? From the given list, of course, right? Now it is to this time I just want to call the total list. So where actually we used to provide from the starting to 0 starting from 0 to the last value, right? Till the last value. So till the last value means here I'm not providing the last index range, because I'm just want to call the total list. In that case, we have different methods can be applied. In that, we have from starting of the 0, there is no end. That means till the last index range. And along with that, this is to apply only colon. Only colon. Colon means there is no starting, there is no ending. That means again it used to call the complete index range. So from this you can understand how much the Python operations are flexible, right? So some kind of you are interested to practice or habituated to one particular functionality while filtering the data, while working in the concepts, but not same like others, right? So others are also having habituated to for different functions and different methods while dealing with the data or writing the programming, right? So that's why Python is flexible while you are executing the operations or while you are calling the operations, right? So, and at the same time, the third method is just you no need to be mentioned nothing, right? No need to be mentioned anything. So here we have provided the list, even though the values are called everything, because from the we have provided the starting value, and we didn't provide the ending value. That's why from the starting value till the ending value, so we have written the values. And here I have provided the start not so I didn't provide the starting and ending. Same I have written with without calling or without providing this filter. That means filter operation also, without providing the filter operation. To filter, we used to call it as square brackets or filter bracket. This time you don't need to think it as list. Actually, this is not a list. So while filtering the data also, we used to apply square brackets. We used to apply square brackets, but don't think it as a list this time. So that means to the operation to operation. So the nature of these symbols, the square bracket used to be changed. When you are trying to store the data, it is act as a list when you are storing the data. When you're filtering the data, this is act as a filter list, filter square. So filter, that's it. So according to the nature, according to the operation, so this nature will be, I mean, the square bracket nature will be changed. That's it. So don't be confused. So while you are doing the practice, it will be very easy then. And so we have the 3 different functionalities where it is returning the same values, but what kind of situations or what kind of scenarios I can use this. I can use this functionality. So when I have the value is starting from the 0, but the ending should be some different index range. So some kind of till 6th value. Till 6th value, I want to print the values, right? But here I'm not providing any starting number, but till the last value, or I want to provide the first value. So not the 0th index, not the 0th index. I just want to filter the value from starting of the considering second index to the last value, right? So from starting of the second index to the last value, the data is filtered, and this is directly, right? So now I just want to call, I'll try this method now. So what it is written? Can you explain me what it is written?
-1 అవుతుంది.
Yeah.
Minus
So
one
what
means
is the index position? Might be
maybe it remove one column, right?
removed or unselected.
Unselected one, one will amount.
One below one value. So what is the position of that value index? The position of value in the given list?
Is one.
First one or last one?
Last one.
Last one.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
have filtered the values from starting of the first index to the just before the last index. That means before the last value. You can observe here, right? So when you are calling the last range, so the last value was 343, and just
Okay.
before that 234. And here we have the last value 234 means now that means this -1 is not selecting, not remove, not selecting, unselected
Oh, okay, okay.
the last value. All right.
Okay.
So from here, you can try from second index to the last one. So now just let me know what is this index range. That means the position of the index, the second in the given list. Is this first, I mean, 0th position? That means the first value, second value, or third value, value wise, not in index wise.
You mean
This value, that means
343.
223. Which value position it is? First, second, third.
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 Value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the index starting from 0, right?
Yes. 0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So in that case, I mean, I'm just making these practices to habituated to the understanding the index range and also data filtration. So that's why I'm just applying multiple examples here, so that we can habituated to the functionality. If you are learn basics and if you understand the basic operations, right, it will be easy to perform on the next topics where lists are highly usage, right? So because these are the lists are have the capability of can store or transform multiple values, multiple data type values. So that's why lists are most important to know about. In the future also we're gonna work with list a lot actually. Okay, so this is the functionality of list operations. And make sure while we are storing the data, this square bracket is known as list, and while we are filtering the data, this bracket is just a filter bracket where we have the square event. So this is just a symbol, but the functionality or the nature of the bracket will be changed according to our usage, right? That's it. Now, is that clear?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And along with that, so I just want to add few values. So I just want to add few values to the given list. In that
Okay.
case, we can try the multiple operations here, where I just want to add my name. You can see this, right, at the last value. So along with the existed values, the last value, my name is added. In the last value, my name is added, right? So along the same time, so let me try where names of customers. Okay, let me use the same only. Names of customers of first index equal to Swaroop. Let me check what it can be give the output. So can you let me know what this operation have done?
Changing the
steps?
position.
Are we replacing the value?
Yeah.
Replacing Harsha to Swaroop?
Exactly. So when you want to replace the value, so here we have updated the list, right? Here we have updated the list by using the plus symbol. That means adding this string or the value, the list of value to the existing list, right? Adding a list of value to the existing list. Here, replacing the value in a list by index position, right? With the index position only we are replacing the value, right? This is what. So like that, we have multiple operations what we can learn. So this is to make us understanding. So how to update the list with list of value and to replace the value. That's it. So also going with the situation then, right? So people, can you try few of the methods, right? Can you try few of the methods? I'm just pasting this functionalities in the chat box. So I just make some steps from your end where we can add the value with help of Python functions. Please try to use the Python functions. So Python function. Use Python functions where to perform on the list of list operations. So list values. So which are add value, remove value, add value by index, remove value by index. So here just add value. That's it about the value only. So some considering here I'm replacing the value by index, but here the situation is I just want to call the name called Harsha. So Harsha should be removed or replace with Swaroop, or you have to remove the value, directly remove the value. So there is no replacing is required. Replacing is not required. You can try that. So this methodologies we can be discussed in the next class. You got my point?
Yeah, I got.
Yeah. So
Yes.
please try these 4 methods. And the next class completely will be on Excel data operation, how the backend structure of Excel, the complete backend structure of Excel, how it used to store the data. That concept we will be discussed. It will be very interesting and knowledgeable. Along the same time, for the future functions or the future work, completely you will be work on this Excel data operations only. That means not with the Excel, even in the Python also, we will be work on this backend structure of Excel that we will be discuss in the next class. Okay, how the data is to be stored at the backend. Let me just post it with you. Okay, so please you try these methods. So, yeah. So we'll we discuss about the tuples. So here we have 2 different types of concepts actually in the Python, right? So especially for the list and tuples, So where we have 2 different concepts called mutable and immutable. So immutable, that means mutable means something like, so we are discussing here, and if my mic is muted, so here we can see the mute option, right? This is what it have given. So when you want to unmute yourself, that means you want to speak, you have to unmute, and you want to mute the mic, you have to mute it, right? So the same way, actually we have 2 different concepts called mutable, immutable, which is related to list and tuple. So let's see the concept here. Tuples are in Python, tuples are very similar to lists. However, unlike lists, they are immutable. Tuples are immutable, not mutable. So meaning they can't be changed. So something here actually where? Yeah. Here we just tried, right? So we can use some functionalities, right? That we can work with the list. So we can update the list, we can replace the value, or we can try to remove the value, or we can update or append the values, update the list, whatever the multiple operations we can perform on the list, but not with the tuple. So that's why list called as mutable. Mutable means it can be modified. The values in the list can be modified, replace, remove, add, change, whatever it can be considered. So list can be mutable. Tuple is immutable. That means can't be changed, can't modify. So we can't do any operation on top of the tuple. You just call the values. For the reference, you can just call the values. That's it. But here we can do any operation, any modify operation. Let's see that in case actually. So right here. So we have constructing tuples, basic tuple methods, immutability, and when to use the tuples. We will discuss on. Here, the list is defined with square bracket, right? Which is square bracket. But the tuple is defined with or called with parenthesis. This bracket known as actually we used to be call it as a round bracket, but this is actually known as parenthesis. Parenthesis. Just remember the name. Actually, this is some technical terminology. So, or the name of actual name of this bracket in mathematics or in the school days and colleges days also. So this the bracket name is used to be parenthesis in the textbooks, but for our easy of usage or calling, we are calling it as a just round bracket. So just try to make the conversation, or we try to call it as from now it is as a parenthesis, right? So tuple used to be called with parenthesis only, or it used to be stored in the parenthesis brackets. So where we are creating a t variable in that we have stored 1, 2, 3 values, the tuple values. So we can check whatever the count of the value. So it is used to be try, right? Now, so we can also mix object types. So we can also mix object types here wherever it is required. Now, when I'm calling the value, right? When I'm calling the value, for that we can use a square bracket. It's not list. It's a square bracket for filter the data. We can filter the data with help of square bracket only, right? So the t of 0, the last value like that. But when I'm trying to modify the value, right? When I'm trying to modify the value here, it is saying another error. So previously we have seen the name error, the naming error, where we have seen that actually when I'm executing the value or calling the value hello. So in the initial understanding of the Python, right? So introduction to the Python, when we are discussing about the string, we have called hello. But when I'm not using the double quotations or quotation, I'm directly calling name called hello. So what it have given? Name error. That means when you are passing the value, it should be in any inbuilt data type of the Python. Any inbuilt data type. That means kind of string, integer, float, none, tuple, boolean, whatever the data type, it should be have. Whatever the data type, it should be have. But so there is no structure given to this text. So or to these characters. So there is no structure is provided, right? So that's why it is giving us or returning as error. So the name, the error name also called as error, name error. The error called as name error. So it is giving the explanation. Name hello is not defined. It is saying That means when you are calling this hello, the structure is to be seems like variable, right? So considering how we are creating the variables, so with the plain text, by not adding any information, right? Now let us call this hello. See, it is executed. Does it have written any error here? No, right? So because we have stored some information, which is string data type. So we have stored some string value inside this hello variable. So the same way, let me call hello underscore. So hello underscore also saying as name error. That means it used to think like, so Python used to think like, the interpreter think like, so when you are passing a plain text, it is like a variable, but according to us, this is not a variable, this is some text, right? So that means we have to follow the Python rules, not our understanding our own rules, right? So according to the Python, this is like a variable, but even though this is a variable, it should be defined. That means like this variable, some value is to be stored and executed. Some value is to be stored and executed. Let me store the value called hello. Let me store the value hello in hello underscore variable. Okay. Let me call the variable name, which is hello underscore. So can you please guess what will be the output now?
Showing error, name error.
Okay. May I know the reason, please?
Because we have not stored any data, because it is not indicate any string or nothing is there.
Okay, but here I have stored the value, right? In the hello underscore, I have stored the value. So
Oh,
still,
okay.
no, just think, I'm asking.
Yeah, I didn't see.
I have stored the value inside the variable. So the value called hello, the string value, hello, I have stored, but I didn't execute it. So now I'm calling the variable name, which is hello underscore. So what output it will be written? Is it written hello or error?
Hello.
Hello only.
Okay. But I
No,
said
print
I
should be
didn't
used, I
execute it.
think.
Sorry,
Error.
error. May I know why?
We didn't use a print.
We didn't
Some
execute it, right? I just stored the value, that's it. But I didn't execute it. I didn't execute
Okay.
this. Now let us see. The value is there because I just assigned the value but not executed, right? I didn't execute this before. So I just assigned. So how could a Python interpreter store this value? When you executed only, then the Python interpreter will be memorize this variable and the whatever the data we are providing. So when you executed only, the interpreter will be memorize the operation or the step what we is executed. So that's why when we executed this now, hello underscore, which have the value of string hello value. So after execution, interpreter have saved the information what we have provided, right? It is memorized. Now it is returning the value. Same, don't be confused here. Something like I have typed something here extra. So consider this is the data which is already saved in this file. The data which is already saved in this file. Now what I'm doing, I have reopened the file. I have some type something here. Something. So names. So the values I have provided here, or some information I have added here, right? So so names actually. Sorry, I'm not remembering everyone's name. So kind of Harish, I think I remember. Oops. Harish, we have Naveen, I think, and etc. Candidates. Actually, I didn't see the people who are already joined after these people which I'm seeing. Okay. So now considering I'm storing this value inside the list I just entered. So what it will be happen if I'm not saving the Excel file and closing it? So it will ask you to save or not. By mistake, you said no. That means the data will be lost, right? So that means you are working on this data from past 1 hour or 1 day completely. By mistake, you didn't save never the time. You didn't save the information or save the file. You didn't save it. The information will be lost. Because how this Excel will get to know so that you are stored this information inside the file, when you are saving, when you click on the save, right? So Control S, or when you use it as save or save as, then only the file will be stored the value. That means you have to initiate the step. You have to initiate, or you have to tell to the file what the operation it need to be applied. The same thing is also happening here. Variable is kind of a folder or file where it can be store the information, the so and so information, but it can be called or it can be executed. Then only the interpreter will get to know. So this is as a memory. Otherwise, it will be leave. So it won't be store the memory. That's a waste of memory. It thought like, right? So some more information we need to discuss about the variable also. So that will be discussed on the way. So when we are discussing about the other topics, the dictionaries, sets, so on, so information we have to be discussed, right, in the next class. So some more information will be have about this variable. It's not only end here. Okay. Now tuple here we introduce this, right? We introduce this some kind of to see the name error. Previously, we have seen the name error. The same way, we are seeing the second type of error in our discussion, that is type error. Okay. So we got to know why it is name error, because it is not defined. The name is not defined anywhere in the notebook. That's why it is called as name error. But why it is the type error? So type error means because you are trying to replace the index position, the 0th index position value in the tuple. So T means tuple, right? T means tuple. So here you can see you are recreating the tuple here. You are recreating the tuple here. So we have where you have the values called string 1 and 2. String 1 and 2. So these are the two values only we have, which is the latest one. So now you are trying to replace the first index position. So first index position means which is 1, right? String 1. This value you are trying to replace with the numerical one. But tuple is immutable. That's why it is called as type error. So you can see the explanation. Tuple object doesn't or does not support item assignment. That means you are assigning a value to index. You are assigning a value to the tuple index. But according to the nature of tuple, it won't allow the any modifications or any operations without filtering. So apart from the filtering, it won't let us touch the tuple. It was won't let us touch the originality of tuple. That means immutable. Now you got you got about you have the understanding of what is list and tuple. Team.
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, all right. So this is for the day. So we discussed about the list and tuples, which we're gonna be used in the next classes also completely for the operations. We will be discuss on scenario. That means from the next time we will be take some examples like kind of application development. In that, we will be use these methods. We will be use these methods to develop the application. So again and again, I'm saying, don't feel Python is like a particular programming language where you have to provide the high priority or the primary. So primary concept, you won't be feel like Python is just like the mediator tool or some kind of calculator to complete your tasks, to perform your tasks. That's it. So until unless when you're using the scientific calculator, we have the square root, right? So calculator. So in the initial days, when we were in the school days, right, we just know about only these numbers and the basic arithmetic operations. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But later on the days, when you became to the high school students, then we have seen this kind of scientific calculator values also. The same thing we are implementing here. So we are learning so and so methods to develop the applications with n number of features. So just think or feel like a Python is a mediator to develop our applications, our thoughts. That's it. Clear?